When we contract our muscles, there is a pharmacy of chemicals that get released into the muscles, and it's really hard to compete with that. So you can take one medication for certain conditions, but it is very hard to replicate the inner workings of the body. And I'm going to share with you the main chemicals that get released into the body when we contract our muscles. The first one we're going to talk about is follistatin. Before follistatin and after follistatin, look at the muscle growth. But this chemical is naturally released into our bloodstream when we contract our muscles. The next chemical that gets released into our bloodstream is irisin when we contract our muscle. And here's what irisin does. After exercise, then this activation happens in the bloodstream and it ends up turning white fat cells into brown fat cells. What do brown fat cells do? Well, they increase oxygen consumption and heat loss. That means that literally our bodies become a fat burning machine. The next chemical is BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When we contract our muscles, this is released into the brain and it has many impacts in our health. Here is actually a list of all the studies where BDNF has shown to have some improvements in the dorsal hole, in the spinal cord, in the microglia, in the NMDA receptors, in the GABA receptors, and in the brain itself. All of these studies show that BDNF has a positive impact in the positive change of all of these parts of our nervous system. The next one is interleukin-6. When we contract our muscles, interleukin-6 is released into the bloodstream. You see, interleukin-6 is known as an inflammatory chemical. However, when it's released by the muscle in the short term, in the acute phase, it actually has very positive impacts. It goes to our brain and it actually increases the release of luteinizing hormone, and it goes into our testicles and increases the release of testosterone. Also, it goes into our stomach and it releases GLP-1. GLP-1 goes to our brain and makes us feel full. But yes, of course, you can take medications for specific conditions, and there is a very specific and important place for that. But it is very hard to replicate the inner workings of the body and the variety of chemicals that get released into our bloodstream from muscle contraction. It's literally a pharmacy that gets released into the bloodstream.